No one should be made to feel stupid because they don't understand how tariffs work. We haven't had to understand, but we do now. So I made a little example using PlayStations, and I'm using PlayStations because they're predominantly from China, as Sony manufactures most of the hardware there, and China's what we're all talking about right now. So I am a US company that sells PlayStations, and I reach out to China's manufacturer and say, hey, I'd like to buy 100 of your PlayStation 5 consoles. And they say, cool, they're $500 each. Okay, so I pay them $50,000 for 100 consoles. They then ship it to the United States. That shipment arrives at port, customs, and it stays there until I, the business owner, go down and pay them and fill out the form to release the goods. So I then go down to port, and the tariff is applied to the value. So that's the cost of the goods, the insurance, and the freight to the port. Then the customs value is $53,500. So while I paid $50,000, they're basing what they're tariffing off of the insurance and the freight on top of that. So if the tariff is 145%, like it is right now, then we have 145% of 53,500 that I now have to pay down at the port so that they'll let me take my products. So I pay them $77,575. That's where I fill out the CBP form 7501. And that is what releases the product to me. So I paid $50,000 to China, and then I paid $77,575 at customs port here in the United States. And that's a lot. And then I look at what it cost me, and I can no longer sell my PlayStation for $850, $875, because I won't even break even. I have to charge more, a lot more, or I have to let absolutely everybody go while still charging more. But we have more than doubled the cost, and we already have to charge customers more than we paid for it. That's how we make a profit. So that's how tariffs work.
Donald Trump just caved to China in his trade war as he is dropping the tariffs without China having to make any concessions. Donald Trump looks weak in his own trade war. Now this morning, after insisting that there was nothing China could do to have the tariffs dropped, here's what Donald Trump announced. 80% tariff on China seems right, up to Scott B. First off, it's not up to Scott Bessent, his Treasury Secretary. It's up to Trump. And if Trump says it, he does it. Yeah, the tariffs are going to be dropped now to 80% from 145. And China hasn't had to do anything. Donald Trump is just folding like a cheap tent in the rain because he knows now this trade war was a bad idea. He's going to destroy the American economy. And now he's looking for a way out. First, it was his fake deal signing with the UK yesterday, and now he's going to start slowly reducing the tariffs, pretending as if they're making deals and making progress when really nothing is happening but Donald Trump caving.
Historically,
I've been saying this for several years now, that a majority of our electorate are just absolute gullible fucking morons. They are dumb and gullible and loud and cruel and easily manipulated. And we live in an age where each one of us walks around holding a device every day that can access pretty much all of the knowledge that's available to human beings over the past 10,000 years. And the United States has been saddled with the stupidest fucking segment of society that has ever existed. And that's MAGA. And they are actively destroying this nation right now.
Father David here.
just a few questions for the media to ask Donald Trump. Please explain what was amusing about you dressing up as the Pope. You said that $1.90 a gallon gas is available in several states. Name two. If China and other countries are the ones who pay for your tariffs, why did Ford just announce a $1.5 billion loss just for this year because of your tariffs? You said Kamala Harris would crash the stock market if she were elected. Why is the Dow down 4,000 points since you took office? And why have you told us that tariff negotiations are ongoing with China when your Treasury Secretary just this morning swore in front of Congress that no such negotiations have occurred? The truth matters, and lies unravel our social fabric. This man needs to be held to account, and that can only happen if our national media are willing to stand up to him and ask him the very obvious questions when his lies come spewing out. Please ask these questions, and ask the other ones that come to mind when he's lying to your face. Stand up, friends. Speak out. God bless us all.
I've said probably a dozen times on here that cults don't start to break apart until the leader is in full power. And Trump didn't get into full power till January 20th. And the reason it starts to break apart is because there's no more reasons, there's no more excuses why the carrot can't finally be delivered. The cult leader must deliver on their promises. And what I'm seeing in more and more videos on here by people that support him are these begging for the promises to deliver because their businesses are really hurting. They're either asking him to please stop the tariffs or put a hold on them, give them some time to figure out how to save their business. One guy has a trucking company, and he's like, I know we just have to trust the process, and, the tariffs look great on paper, but this is getting very scary. My guys don't have any trucks to drive. We're just sitting here like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. So, please, Mr. Trump, please, this has to come through. And what they think is going to come through is some kind of boom of business and money. It's because it's not just, all these businesses are going to show up overnight and then we're all going to be okay, because that's not real. They just somehow think, these checks are coming, the income tax is going to go away, or somehow money and business is going to come flooding in. They are waiting on that. They are counting on that. And my son was in a class yesterday, and there's a huge Trump supporter in there. And one of the other kids in the class was saying something about, I'd be willing to pay more money if everybody could have health care. He explained some problem he'd had. And anyway, he shared that. And then the Trump supporter, thinking he's helping, like in earnest, saying, you guys, like very soon, we're not even going to have to pay income tax. Like all our income taxes are going to go away. So we're going to have extra money to be able to take care of ourselves and to take care of our medical things. And, he said that in earnest, like in good faith. And my son looked at him. He's like, my heart just hurt because this man thinks that Trump is going to deliver something good for everybody, and it's going to happen any fucking minute. And it's never going to happen. And there's not going to be all these people to blame. And I know people say, well, they'll just blame Biden. Biden doesn't put that blame doesn't put money in their account. It doesn't put food on their table. It doesn't bring this business boom back. It doesn't make America great again. Do you see what I'm saying? That will just be like eating air. It won't fulfill them. It won't be enough of a reason, especially as more of these deportations go on, because a lot of them do not like how it's being handled. A lot of them do not like what's happening in Gaza. There are so many things that they really don't like that are happening. I'm not saying all of them, but I'm saying a good portion of them. I would say most of them have some complaints somewhere. And before the inauguration, there was no complaints anywhere. They were lockstep. They aren't that way anymore. So as this goes on, you're going to see more and more leave, especially because their hearts are set on this deliverance of America being great and being wealthy and being strong. And somehow that's going to all turn around any minute, like the 4D chess move. But it's not going to happen. And their cognitive dissonance, their programming is going to be at such war, there is going to be more and more fallout. This administration, what they are doing is unsustainable. So there is a tipping point that will be coming. In the meantime, as they see us pushing back, as they see the courts pushing back, as they see some of their own congressmen start to push back, they're going to lash out. They're going to try and get meaner and stronger and scarier because they are scared of us. They thought, we're just going to grab some people off the street, they'll get real quiet. That's not what's happening, because even some of their own people don't like it. They didn't expect the amount of pushback they're getting. They didn't expect their polls to drop. I saw one creator say their polls haven't dropped at all, and they all just love him just as much, and they have no regrets. And no, that is not true. That is not true. First of all, I look up who does the polls, and almost all the times it's a right-wing company. But the other thing is, when you're in a cult, if you get a phone call and they say, how do you think that your leader's doing? Even if you don't like the leader and what he's doing at that time, you will say, great, because that is your programming. So I take all those polls with a big dose of salt, because I'm talking to people, I'm getting messages from people about their friends and family leaving, about the concerns they have. I'm having those conversations in real time. No, they're not happy. They're scared. Some of them are trying to be very hopeful. So they're going to double down and try and sound really loud that this is coming, because what other choice do they have? They are terrified. And just the idea of being publicly humiliated after the fact that they, voted for Schmittler 2.0, that's very rough to come out and admit. And the longer they're stuck in this, the longer it's going to, be harder to admit that. And I invite you all to give them what I call an off-ramp. Like, there has to be something that they can say that they can exit. And that might just be, I really thought he was going to do that. I got duped. I got lied to. I saw some people on here saying the other night, we voted for him, but oh my God, he lied, he lied, he lied. So them being able to say that and walk away, they have to have that off-ramp. So, feel free to offer that to them. Like, do you feel like you've been lied to? Or, it's okay, you were lied to, right? So anyway, I just want to put that out there, because that very much is happening, because cult leaders have to deliver once they have full power.
Okay, so this video needs to reach someone very important. So if you don't mind, could you please like and share, comment, whatever, to drive engagement. I want this video to reach a Professor Michael Misch with the University of Southern California, Professor of Economics. I'll show you why. This is me on April the 24th. That the state of California will lose 3 more refineries. And in all likelihood, the average price for a gallon of gasoline in the state of California will be somewhere in the $8 range. That video was on my TikTok, my YouTube, my Instagram, my Facebook, my X, whatever. Wherever I'm at, that's where it was. Today, I start seeing all these videos by conservative content creators talking about how gas in California is going to exceed $8 a gallon. And I'm like, where are they getting this? And I start finding all of these articles. They're just everywhere. Yeah. Everywhere. But one article had a link to their source, and the source was Michael Misch, economics professor at the University of Southern California, who released a report right here on May the 5th. 10 days after I made my video? This report basically says exactly what I was saying in that video 10 days later. It's not unusual for people to agree on things and come to the same conclusions, but here's another problem. Do you remember this? Study debunks price gouging myth behind California's high gas prices. This is my friend Robert Rapier with Forbes wrote this. Do you remember the source for this? Michael Misch. USC professor of economics. Do you remember what this study said? This study is basically my TikTok channel on paper. Everything I have ever said about Gavin Newsom and gas prices in the state of California is what is in this study. And I know a lot of y'all remember that first one, but I know for a fact that I am the only person that come out and made that prediction about Gavin Newsom and running for president and the gas being $8 in California. I know that for a fact. So my question for Michael Mish, economics professor at University of Southern California, is when are you going to cite your source? When are you going to give me the credit? No, I'm kidding, obviously. But I would like to know, honestly, I don't care about being cited, Professor Mish, but I would like to know where you follow me, because I just have a feeling you do. Don't forget, please share, like, and comment on the video. I would like for the professor to see this if it's at all possible. And I was kidding about you citing me as a source. Well, maybe not. I just want to know where you follow me. And if you follow me, really, I don't care if you cite me. Although I would cite you. You know, I mean, it's common courtesy, you know. Thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, all right, enough with the white smoke. It's me, I've just been elected the most tremendous pope maybe ever to walk the earth. At least that's what people are saying. I won by a landslide. You know, St. Peter, he was a great guy, but he never polled quite as high as I did with the evangelicals. The body of Trump. The body of Trump. The body of Trump. We did it, Joe. We did it, Joe. I'm gonna be the next Pope of the Catholic Church. I hereby decree that we're adding new commandments. Commandment number 11, thou shalt not indict me. Very unfair. Commandment number 12, thou shalt build a wall around the Vatican City to keep the fake prophets out. You know who you are. And while we're at it, let's remove 1, 6, 7, and 8.
Your Holiness, how do you think you won this election?
Well, quite frankly, everyone should have seen this coming. I was polling very high in the swing churches, dominating in Bethlehem, Ohio, and of course Nazareth, Pennsylvania. But I want to give a shout out to JD for all the hard work and for making this happen. You know what you did. And together, we're gonna make the Pope great again. Amen.
I've been reading a lot and thinking a lot about the level of just blatant, flagrant, out in the open corruption of Donald Trump and his family during his second term, and we're not even 4 months in. Leading up to the 2024 election, I think the company was World Liberty Financial. It was the first Trump crypto coin that Donald Trump and his two sons were selling. And that coin, when you purchased any of those coins, there was a 75%, it was either a commission or licensing fee. So if you bought $1 worth of that crypto coin, 75 cents of it went directly into the pockets of Donald Trump and his two adult sons. And there was one guy, a crypto billionaire from China, who was under investigation from the SEC, a guy named Justin Sun, who bought $75 million worth of World Liberty Financial crypto coins, I think the month before Election Day last year, which put $57 million directly into the pockets of Donald Trump and Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr. And then after Trump took office, he instructed the SEC to stop investigating Mr. Sun. Don Jr. last month was in Serbia, putting together a deal for a Trump hotel in Belgrade. Eric Trump was in Dubai last week, and the Qatari government announced that they are purchasing $2 billion worth of Trump crypto coins. And then we see this, there was a trucking company, a small trucking company that announced they're going to sell $20 million worth of bonds so that they can buy $20 million worth of Trump crypto coin so that they can have some influence when it comes to trucking regulations and freight regulations. And during Trump's first term, there was corruption, but it was small ball. I mean, over the course of his 4 years during his first term, I think he only made about $150 million from Trump Hotel in Washington, D.C. He owns an interest in a building out here, a very famous building in San Francisco at 555 California Street. And the Qatari government leased an entire floor of office space in that building and never moved in a single person or a single piece of furniture during the 4 years that Trump was in office during his first term. They were just funneling that money directly to Donald Trump. The corruption that is happening during his second term is going to be in the tens of billions of dollars of personal enrichment for Donald Trump and his family. And they are all doing all of this out in the open very publicly because nobody is stopping them. And Donald Trump doesn't believe that anybody is going to be able to stop them from doing this. And he also knows that the people who voted for him are complete fucking morons. They are dumb and they are gullible and they are easily manipulated. And they're still donating money to him and buying shitty tchotchkes off of his website. Even though he doesn't need a legal defense fund anymore. What are you going to do about that? I mean, Jesus Christ. But think back over the last 2 years. 2022, well, think back on 2023 and 2024. Republican-controlled House of Representatives spent 2 solid years, multiple committees, multiple hearings every single week, multiple witnesses investigating Hunter Biden, Hunter Biden's laptop, 10% for the big guy, and these overseas deals that on their best day amounted to maybe $10 million. And they spent 2 years tirelessly, daily, investigating Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's brother, the Biden crime family, money laundering in Ukraine, bribes from Ukraine that turned out to be fabricated. Their main witness on that is in prison for lying to the FBI about that. And now Republicans are just like, yeah, no, it's all of this other stuff is fine. You know, Jared Kushner pocketed $2 billion from the Saudis on his way out of the Oval Office in January 2021. That's fine. But Hunter Biden, the scale of the corruption, I mean, it's in less than 4 months, it got to a point where this trucking company announced publicly, we are going to sell bonds and raise $20 million so that we can buy $20 million worth of Trump's crypto coin so that we can get some FaceTime with the President of the United States and hopefully influence policy. It has become a standard business practice now to openly bribe the President of the United States of America by buying his crypto coin and putting money directly into his pocket. Nothing like this has ever happened before. Richard Nixon's first vice president, Adlai Stevenson, had to resign from office or be prosecuted because he took a $10,000 kickback on some scheme. 10 grand, he had to give up the vice presidency. Trump and his family because they recognize it's their last shot. This is Trump's last shot, this last term. And he is going to milk it for tens of billions of dollars in corrupt money paid to him through overseas business deals and through his shitty cryptocurrency. And nobody gives a shit. On the right. He's the business man. That's what his supporters keep telling me. Donald Trump, the business man. He does business. He the business man. He doing business. They're completely fine with it. Because, as I said, they're dumb and gullible and easily manipulated. They think he's doing a great job on the economy. They think tariffs are going to make them rich. That's how fucking dumb these people are. And they do not care about corruption when it's their guy. They don't give a shit at all.
I'm not particularly political, especially on social media.
Yet somehow I'm getting the vibe that despite you not being overly political on social media, you're still exponentially more political than you should be.
But has anyone else seen the when it happens trend where people are saying what they're going to do and how they're going to celebrate when it happens?
Yeah, I haven't completely planned my party yet. I think it's going to be real vibes based depending on, how it happens. Like if the McDonald's gets the job done first, as much as I hate McDonald's, I'll probably have a Big Mac in their honor. And if it ends up being more of a French way that things get finished off, I'm not a big fan of cake, but I'll definitely let the people at my party eat some. And who knows, maybe I'll even get an ice cream cake to commemorate all the meltdowns. And there might even be margaritas involved. Hell, I could hire a mariachi band. Who knows? I just know it's definitely going to depend on vibes.
I had to do some digging to figure out what's it. What are we talking about?
Really? Because I feel like it wasn't that complicated of a concept.
Because no one's explicitly saying it.
Yeah, that was sort of the point, part of the joke. It's like a inside joke that wasn't really an inside joke because we didn't think that, anybody would not get it. But then to be fair, we definitely consistently underestimate certain people's stupidity.
And I had to watch so many videos and read lots of comments and finally pieced it together.
Case in point.
People are talking about when Trump, the president of the United States of America, gets...
Are you like a private eye or a secret agent or something? Because that is some crack detective work. I bet it never took you very long to figure out where in the world Carmen Sandiego was.
It's gonna be soon. It's gonna be soon. When the orange gets peeled.
You seem to be confused into thinking that we all think that this is going to be some sort of assassination and that's why it's going to be soon. But despite the falsified medical records and the AI Star Wars pictures and the fact that he can identify an elephant on a cognitive test, the man is still 80 years old and not exactly the picture of health. Well, let's be honest. I'm pretty sure most of us are convinced that the meth and McDonald's are going to beat, pretty much anything else to the punch at this point.
And we're going to have parties. Can we acknowledge that that's insane?
Yeah, I can admit that it is absolutely fucking insane that we let a fascist felon into the White House after he already tried subverting democracy, who is so incredibly subhuman that people will rejoice when he is no longer wasting our oxygen. But it's not that uncommon. I mean, people rejoiced when Caesar was stabbed and Adolf was axed and Hussein was hung. And hey, every day I feel bad about something, I cheer myself up by reminding myself that Ronald Reagan is still dead. Rush Limbaugh lasted too long, but there was definitely parties when karma kicked his ass. And we all know that the only thing of value Mitch McConnell will ever pass is away, and we will definitely celebrate that accomplishment when he does, although for fuck's sake, any day now. Come on, guys. So if we're being honest, celebrating horrible people not being able to hurt humanity anymore is really not that uncommon.
I don't remember. That was never a thing with Biden or Obama or... This has never happened in the other direction.
Excuse me? Where, pray tell, the fuck have you been? You don't remember this shit? People are just openly advocating for lynching the first black president, Obama. That just slipped your mind there? This guy did a twofer and included Hillary in that. And then there was this graphic dumbasses adorned their tailgates with of Biden, which is, pretty fucked up. And then there was that one time that the right-wing terrorist group in Michigan had literal plans to kidnap and murder the governor. And then I don't know if you were sick on January 6th a few years ago, but a bunch of right-wing assholes literally tried overthrowing democracy and they overran the Capitol with the intent of murdering elected officials. They even brought a fucking gallows to the Capitol. Did you miss that? I guess the point I'm trying to get at is that maybe you should just, fuck all the way off with your pearl clutching, you disingenuous fuck. Just on account of y'all being fucking sociopaths.
Most people voted for him, y'all. Y'all are the minority. That's crazy to say.
No, that's not crazy. What's crazy is that you think that 49% of the popular vote is a majority, or that 77 million is the majority of 262 million voting age people. More people have voted against Donald Trump than for him in every single election he's ever ran in, including the most recent one where he finally won the popular vote. Because, you know, being under 50% is not a majority. And if we're considering like the entire voting age population, only a quarter of them were dumb enough to vote for Kangas Convict. And that's not how majorities work, you sweet, sweet child of summer. Anyway, I'll leave you with this. There's a lot of hills to die on in this world that are worth it, but getting offended and triggered because people might throw a party or two when an adjudicated rapist who's responsible for deporting children with cancer who are also U.S. citizens no longer plagues us with his presence isn't one of those hills. All right? Toodles.